Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an insight. Episode 196. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In the previous episode, we heard the greatness of Sri Sai Maharaj's Guru and how he was admitted in his Guru's Gurukul or school. Sri Sai Maharaj states that he wanted to embrace the Guru's neck from behind and remain so forever. Also says that he wanted his eyes to be ever fixed in the form of his Guru. If not, then it is mere balls of flesh and it is better to remain blind. The devotion Sri Sai Maharaj had upon his Guru seemed to be indescribable. Having one-pointed devotion upon the Guru is the only spiritual practice that can help you to attain your goal easily. Sri Sainath Maharaj at various instances proclaimed that Guru is God. There is no need to indulge in other practices. The Guru must be the sole object of meditation. And if we submit all our senses together with our mind with loving devotion at the holy feet of the Guru, then that is sufficient for a seeker to attain his life's goal. This is the Bhakti Marg asserted by Sri Sai Maharaj. So to conclude, the only spiritual practice that can lead us to our goal is to have steadfast faith on the Guru. Believe him to be God, be engrossed in his thoughts and submit oneself ultimately at his holy feet. This is the moral one must learn from the parable story narrated by Sri Sai Maharaj. Sri Sai Maharaj is the supreme incarnation. Then, from where this Vanjari appeared was the question of Hemat Panji. He himself answers his own question thus. Many came to the darbar of Sri Sai Maharaj, such as jugglers, dancers, magicians, astrologers, scholars, rich and poor, musicians, pandits, mendicants. Each one had a role to play and they vanished after they completed their part. So, Vanjari must also be one such performer who came to play his role and went off as soon as his performance was completed. So there is no second thought on the perspective if Sri Sai Maharaj is the divine incarnation. Undeniably, he is the personification of the Supreme Parabrahman, an embodiment of dispassion and compassion. Thus, Hemat Panji closes the parable story and moves on to talk about fasting and an interesting story connected to this topic. This story is about Mrs. Gokhale. Sri Sai Maharaj was never in favor of fasting and didn't allow anyone to fast. He says the mind of the person engaged in fasting is never at ease. Then how can he attain the Lord? If food is not fed in the mouth, then The senses become restless and are unable to function properly. Then with what eyes one can see God, and with what tongue one can sing the glory of God, or with what ears one should listen to the stories of the God. To quote Swami Vivekananda in the book My India, the India Eternal, a collection of his thoughts on various subjects, says, "When my countrymen are starving for food, if I talk to them about realizing Brahman, then my talk will be futile and my ideas will never reach them. First, they should be offered a piece of bread. Their hunger must be satiated." Ramanathan brother shares his thoughts on fasting. Many devotees of Sri Sai Baba adopt 9 weeks fasting and perform the puja known as Sai Nav Guruvar Vrit. Once a devotee approached me and asked my opinion about this kind of fasting. I said, fasting that is not consuming any kind of food is completely unacceptable by Sri Sai Maharaj. This is against the principles of Sri Sai Baba. I quoted the story of Mrs. Gokhale from this chapter and advised them to refrain from complete fasting as that would never please Sri Sai Maharaj. But the devotee argued that his wish was granted at the end of the 9 weeks puja. Then how can I say that Sri Sai is not pleased with this kind of vrit? I responded, yes, your wish would have been granted by Sri Sai Maharaj because you might have had unswerving faith upon Sri Sai Baba, and that granted your wish, not because you fasted on all those 9 Thursdays to perform the puja. Hence, I sincerely appeal to Sri Sai devotees to not completely fast during puja days, as that will not please our Sri Sai Maharaj. In Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, we cannot find any evidence to support that Sri Sai was in favor of fasting. Even few minutes before attaining Mahasamadhi, Sri Sai sent his close devotees Nana Sahib Chandorkar and Kaka Sahib Dikshit to go and eat their lunch. Though it is believed that at the last hour Sri Sai sent them away as he wanted to stay aloof from close ties, another reason was he never encouraged fasting and didn't want them to stay there without eating any food, as he knew that he would leave his mortal coil soon and his devotees will not have the mind to eat their food, knowing that he left his body. So he forced them to go and eat their lunch. To recall, another devotee by named Radhabai Deshmukh said, "Will do upavas until upadesh is given," which means fasting until she gets initiated by Sri Sai Maharaj. Sri Sai Baba called her and spoke thus, "Oh mother, please eat. Don't be stubborn. When my Guru has never blown any mantra into my ears, how can I give you one? Hence, I request you to give up your fasting and eat your food." Even the next chapter, that is 33rd chapter, depicts a story in connection with this subject. When a devotee by named Appa Sahib Kulkarni had gone out, a fakir came to his house to beg for alms. His wife gave dakshina. The fakir accepted and blessed her with Sri Sai's Udi with a note that he must leave soon, as Sri Sai must be waiting for him. As soon as Appa Sahib came back home, his wife told all about the fakir, and Appa Sahib asked how the fakir looked, and she said he resembled Sri Sai Maharaj. Immediately Appa Sahib regretted for only giving rupee 1 as dakshina and thought if he would have been there, he would have given rupees 10 as dakshina. He was determined to offer more dakshina, so went in search of the fakir along with his friend, wandered for a long time, but all in vain. Appa Sahib felt dejected. Then he returned home, had his lunch, and again strolled in the streets in search of the fakir. At that juncture, the fakir on his own appeared in front of him. Now Appa Sahib offered his dakshina. Hence, as mentioned by the Vanjari to the 4 men who were in quest of Brahman, that their search will not be successful until they don't eat anything. So, to sum up, Sri Sai Maharaj never acknowledged fasting. Ramanathan brother emphasizes this by underscoring an OV in which Sri Sai Maharaj says, "Why do you give trouble to your body by only consuming uncooked food on puja days, that is eating just fruits and milk?" Therefore, it is very clear that no form of fasting is accepted by Sri Sai Maharaj. We can find miracles related to S.B. Nachne, Kushabao and Sri Kaka Sahib Dikshit that stresses on the same thought. In the 129th OV, Hemat Panji says overeating is also not advisable. This was told by Sri Sai Maharaj to Abdul Baba. The assertions of Sri Sainath Maharaj to him, that is, the Upadesh, were recorded by Abdul Baba in his notebook. It's written in Modi script, one of the ancient ways of writing Marathi language. Abdul Baba's writing in his notebook is a combination of Marathi and Urdu. This book is now under the custody of Sri Sai Sansthan Shirdi and has been translated into English language. At one instance, Sri Sai Baba advised Abdul Baba thus, "Abdul, you should neither fast nor eat too much. Likewise, you shouldn't oversleep or deprive sleep. Everything should be moderate." This has been highlighted by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swami Ji in 741 Sri Sai Sahasra Namavali as Om Shri Mitabuje Namaha. Salutations to the one who eats moderately. Sri Sai also adds that one doesn't need varieties of food to eat, but eat something that would suffice to satisfy his hunger. Sri Sai himself eats very little food. This also coincides with the moderation principle of Lord Buddha. According to him, everything should be fair and reasonable and not extreme. To quote in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, 16th sloka, verses Natyash natastu yogosti na chaikanta manasnataha na chatishvapna shilasya jagrato naiva cha Arjuna. Commentary. Yoga is not possible for him who eats too much, nor for him who does not eat at all, nor for him who sleeps too much, nor for him who is always awake, O Arjuna. So devotees, Sri Sai Maharaj has also emphasized the same thought at various situations to his devotees. He never encouraged fasting. Likewise, he was not in favor of overeating. Now we shall move to the story of Mrs. Gokhale. A lady came to Shirdi for Sri Sai Baba's darshan, and this lady was friend of a devotee by named Kashibai Kanitkar. Kashibai Kanitkar is closely related to Harivinayak Sate and Dada Kelkar. Dada Kelkar is the father-in-law of Harivinayak Sate, and he resides in the Satewada built by his son-in-law Harivinayak. Dada Kelkar resides in Shirdi for the sake of assisting the devotees coming for Sri Sai Baba's darshan by providing them lodging facilities at Satewada. Kashibai Kanitkar sent a letter to Dada Kelkar through Mrs. Gokhale requesting to make necessary arrangements for her friend's stay and to guide her to get a hearty darshan of Sri Sai Maharaj. This friend's name is unknown, but her family name is Gokhale, hence she is addressed as Mrs. Gokhale. This lady started to Shirdi a day before Holi festival. That same day at Shirdi, while Dada Kelkar was seated next to Sri Sai Baba at Dwarakamai, omniscient Sri Sai Baba said, "Dada, during Shimga days, will I let my children fast? Will I ever make them starve? How will I allow that?" Shimga means holy festival. Dada Kelkar didn't have a clue of what Sri Sai Maharaj was speaking. All the devotees are his children. So, whom did Sri Sai Baba remark in his statement now as children? Many declarations of Sri Sai Baba might not be related to the current events. So, it was a challenge for devotees to comprehend all that Sri Sai spoke. Dada Kelkar didn't dare to inquire more details on this, so he kept quiet. Next day, that is on the day of Holi festival, Mrs. Gokhale reached Shirdi. She met Dada Kelkar and handed over the introductory letter sent by Kashibai Kanitkar. Dada Kelkar read the letter and took her to Sri Sai Baba's darshan. On seeing her, Sri Sai Maharaj began to pour words of wisdom. He said, "On festival days, why should one fast? Go to Dada Bhatt's house, prepare puran poli, you eat and give to their children." Mrs. Gokhale was dumbfounded at this instruction of Sri Sai Baba because she vowed in her mind that she should fast for 3 days. But now, all-knowing Supreme God Sri Sai Baba had advised her to go and cook at Dada Bhatt's house roti stuffed with jaggery and pulses and eat to her heart's desire, also feed the children, which means that she should drop off her desire to fast. Sri Sai Baba had intuited this inner thought of Mrs. Gokhale and spoke about it to Dada Kelkar a day before her arrival to Shirdi, but that was not perceived by him. Sri Sai Maharaj told Mrs. Gokhale, "Food and the one who consumes it are an embodiment of Lord Vishnu." Taittiriya Upanishad says, "Annam is Brahmam." The same is professed by Sri Sai Maharaj, but by referring from Sri Vishnu Sahasranama, verse 105, Yagnabhrut, Yagnagrut, Yagni, Yagnabhuk, Yagna Sadhanaha, Yagnandagrut, Yagnaguhyam, Annamannada evacha. Let's just ponder on the term Annam, that which is eaten by living beings, or he who eats all beings. Annada, one who is the eater of the whole world as food. The word eva is added to show that he is also Anna, the food eaten. In 142nd OV, Hemat Panji writes, Sri Sai Maharaj also added fasting, austerities, unsullied food, going without food or water. Why indulge in all this? Devotees, until now, Mrs. Gokhale didn't speak a word about her inner desire, that is to fast, to anyone. But what is not known to the Parabrahman? Nothing can be hidden to him. He is the inner ruler of everyone. Sri Sai Maharaj's words are crystal clear that none should practice fasting but have moderate food. Mrs. Gokhale was in a fix. She thought, I am a guest and how can I go and cook food at Dada Bhatt's house? With this thought in mind, she went to Dada Bhatt's home. In fact, Dada Kelkar was listening to all the instructions of Sri Sai Maharaj to Mrs. Gokhale. Now, both of them went home, and there Dada Bhatt had her monthly periods, so she was unable to cook food. Her children were hungry, so it was a happy coincidence that Sri Sai Maharaj had advised Mrs. Gokhale to cook food at Dada Bhatt's house, eat at her heart's content, and feed the children of Dada Bhatt as well. Now, Dada Kelkar understood the assertion made by Sri Sai Maharaj on the previous day to him that, "Will I let my children starve on holy festival?" Recalling the words of Sri Sai, both were in tears of joy, marveling at his omniscience. Dada Kelkar was moved with the compassion Sri Sai Maharaj had for his children. Mrs. Gokhale followed the instructions of Sri Sai Maharaj, cooked puran polis and served everyone at Dada Bhatt's house, and she also ate her share. Thus, her desire to fast was nullified by Sri Sai Maharaj. Obeying the orders of the Guru will speed up the spiritual progress of a devotee rather than practicing fasting or austerities is the profound truth that one must learn from this story. Once Sri Gaga Sahib Dikshit resolved in his mind to fast. At that very moment, Sri Sai Baba asked, "What are you going to eat?" So, one of the core principles of Sri Sai Baba was to not let his children fast, and that is the crux of this chapter. There are more stories in connection with this subject which we shall listen in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.